Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. Something interesting happened with the AI conference where Trump was talking to the so-called tech leaders and software leaders of America. In that, of course, interesting conversation where he was having his own thoughts and he was sharing some interesting thoughts he was having, especially when it came to Nvidia and how he thought of breaking the monopoly. Then he realized it's impossible to do what he envisioned. Then he, of course, capitulated and said, Nvidia, you are a great man. And he told him, please stand up and give him a round of applause. But there was something interesting he did drop in that whole conversation which he had, which has a lot of implications for us Indians. Before, when he initially won the elections, there was much cheer in the Indian community, especially in the NRIs and tech people, saying that okay, the H1Bs may be troublesome, but overall, it's a good win for us software workers and knowledge workers. This was how we all felt way back in last year when he won the elections. But now a lot of things have transpired, and now we are sitting here, and what he says now, before we would have just dismissed it as just bluster, but now we can't dismiss it anymore because he himself doesn't know what he's going to do. He's admitted to. And what he did announce in that was that everything in the US should be within the US, including IT, software, and people who are working for IT companies should all be Americans, and no more hiring Indians, no more outsourcing to India or China or anything like that. Everything should be, he said, we should be patriotic, and the AI we develop should be only for Americans and for American military supremacy. And he went on and on about this, and he said this is his action plan by his team. So I want to pick Anand's brain on what does this mean for a lot of Indians who are sitting in US, because I did talk about it. What should NRIs do if they're planning to come back? And there could be many reasons why you're planning to come back. This could be another thing that shakes the boat for NRA sitting there, especially people sitting in with H1Bs who don't have green cards.
I don't know the system on how it works in the sense that there are more than nearly a million people on H1B with a 140 who can work in perpetuity waiting for a green card.
Hmm.
Those people are going to be badly hurt.
Hmm.
Then there is another class of people whose children have born in India and who went when they are 3, 4, 5, 6, or slightly older than that. But they don't remember anything of India. They have been brought up as Americans. Now, when they turn 21, they cannot be dependent on their parents. Now, if they are studying in America, what happens to a student visa? What is the way forward for them? That is also not clear. There is also doubts of parents with Indian American children who have green cards. They are being called out of the line and said you can go in only if you surrender the green card. If you don't surrender the green card, they will not allow you in. There are old people with green cards who are not being allowed to go inside the country. There are many Indians who are not willing to come to India for the fear that if they come, they cannot go back.
Yes, I have also heard many anecdotes.
Then there are H1B guys who have to come back here once a year to get their visa stamped and for them to go back.
Don't know if they can go back.
We don't know. And he has already said by a executive signature, kids born in America don't get American citizenship. It's been challenged in a court.
Yes.
We don't know what is the outcome. But even the Democrats, who are supposedly friendly to Indians, in today's mood, will support Trump on stopping Indians from getting in there because they feel the general feeling is that Indians are stealing their jobs. And the funniest part is, I know of Indians who have gone there, settled, and got American citizenship who believe that Indians who come today are stealing jobs when they were themselves stealing jobs
A few decades
a
back,
few decades back.
it was okay
It was okay. They got inside the club
because
and
it is the right way.
but what is the right way? There
I
is
don't
no
know.
right way.
That's what I've been told.
Okay. So everybody has got a they have only two ways bus. Either you get a H1B,
I know.
go there I-140 and hang in there.
I know.
Or you go as a student, get a green card and then join there.
I know.
The point is we have got into the club will not admit anybody anymore.
Yes.
This is the whole problem. Lot of Indian companies supply workers there on temporary visas. What these companies wants you to hire Americans to do that job. There have been suits against Indian companies against Cognizant, against other companies, where the whites have said, the American whites have said, that there's a discriminatory policy where these IT companies prefer only Indians. Why do these IT companies prefer Indians? We work longer hours for lesser pay. This is not only in US. This happens even when I went to France recently. The Paris department of TCS was facing an issue because people were there as residents for 7 years. So the French employees were protesting that these people were
Taking
here
their jobs.
taking their jobs. So what TCS has done is they brought them and sent them to Belgium and Sweden, and they are working on the same project from Belgium, Sweden, and they have that Schengen visa, which allows them to come to France to visit the client. So the Americans and the Europeans do not want Indians or Chinese working in the high-end jobs.
Hmm.
The problem is that there is not enough Americans or French or Germans to do this job
At this pay also.
at this pay,
And these hours.
at these hours. So what happens is, if they have stopped recruiting Indians and recruit one or Chinese and recruit only Americans or French, the salary bill will go out of control, and such innovation, whatever these guys are doing, is not possible. But this is America is a democracy where every man has a vote. So it has become an election issue. If it becomes an election issue, a politician has to shoot himself in the feet to stay elected. Because if he is not elected, he will not be able to effect any change.
Okay.
So this is very difficult
Hmm.
for Indian companies who are employing people there. This could also mean the other company also knows it is cost saving. So more jobs will move to offshore locations. You will have better connectivity between the two countries, and more jobs will be outsourced. This is what will happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because there's no virtual border. This border is only a physical border. So then all these American companies will say, no problem, we won't have any jobs here in the US. You do the work, everything outside, and
Yeah.
you transmit the work back to us. We don't need to have any offices.
Yes.
If any client is required, we'll funnel the client over there. They can see you there
Exactly.
and come back. You're absolutely right in this. But what does it mean for, let's say, the 1 million diaspora sitting there? What is
It's
written on the
uncertain.
wall
I'm
for
not
them?
able to say anything.
It is uncertainty. That's what I mean.
It's very uncertain.
Because from
If
being
it
a
is
position 3 years ago of being a certainty and having a roadmap,
There is
some
no
kind of a
running.
roadmap. Now,
If he gets up on the left hand side of the bed, it can mean you go back home.
Hmm.
If he gets onto the right hand side of the bed, it means you can stay. I don't know.
So if in that kind of a mindset, how should you plan your investments, and what would you do if you were in this
because I
situation?
have not gone to America in a long time.
I agree to that.
Right. So I don't know America.
Hmm.
But I went to Europe recently,
Hmm.
and I constantly meet people who live in America.
Hmm.
Maybe it is different for me.
Hmm.
But I look at it. These guys live in the suburb. They don't live in the center of the city. They have to travel 1 hour to come to the center of the city. They have to wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes for Uber. You fall sick, you cannot go to the doctor. You have to see a nurse like figure, and to see a proper doctor will take you 2 weeks. By then, the problem is fixed.
That's what they hope.
No, I met a guy in France
Hmm.
who was taxiing me around in a big van. His son had a sprained hand. So, father is asking the son, why don't you go to the doctor? He says, I have to meet a nurse who will certify I can see a GP. The GP will say you can see an ortho. By the time all this is done, it will take 2 months and my hand will be perfect. So unless there is a medical emergency, you cannot go to the hospital. And America, what I understood when I asked one guy, very wealthy guy, so he said he pays $40,000 for the highest possible
Insurance.
health care,
Hmm.
where his wife, himself, and 2 daughters are covered.
Huh.
Now he says the first $16,000 he has to spend.
Wait, so he's got insurance for $40,000.
Yeah,
But when he gets admitted,
$40,000 with any amount of limit.
any limit, unlimited.
Yeah,
That's like the top
Yeah.
best 5-star.
policy.
So, but when he gets admitted, he has
No.
to
Any medical treatment, first 16,000 he has to spend.
out of his own pocket.
Yeah,
Which
whether
he
it
cannot
is-
claim.
He cannot claim. whether it is doctor, whether it is you went to emergency, whether you went to
So
hospital,
almost first 2 lakhs you have to fork out.
shell out as a family.
Hmm.
Only after that, insurance company will come to pay. Suppose you have a bypass surgery and they bill you $200,000, you have to fork out another $40,000. The insurance company will pay only 80% of the bill. 20% you have to pay.
And this is the best
This
policy.
is the best policy. So, and he said there are better policies for the super rich. No, I cannot stay in the city. I cannot hire help, right? I
Hmm.
can't visit a doctor when I want. I don't know what you are getting there. Everything that pre 91 I can understand. But today I'm sitting in the center of the city. Any major point in the city I can go in 10 minutes. Airport in 25 minutes, right? I'm in the heart of Madras. I can afford a driver, I can afford a maid servant.
Yeah, because even recently there's another policy which has been enacted by the Trump government, which is a rather strange one. It reminds me of the airport tax which we used to have in India way back. Because now to enter the United States, each person has to pay $250 as a goodwill gesture.
Hmm,
And if you behave when you're in the United States
hmm,
and you leave on time as per your visa, go back to your home country, that $250 will be refunded to you, but they have not said how it will be refunded to you. Meaning, once you go back home, that money will somehow come to you, but that is not clear. But at the border to enter the United States now, you have to pay $250 per person to enter the country. So I don't know. I'm also baffled. The more and more the Americans seems to be thinking of great ways. They don't want anybody in the
This
world.
is classic shooting yourself on the feet. Anyway, it's uncertain times.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching Be Rich. I hope you enjoyed this show. Please send this to your friends and relatives and have them take a look. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich.
Thank you.